There's a guy named John Piper who I respect greatly, and a quote from him is that missions exist because worship does not. And worship is, as we talked about leading up to this, is us in our life, is somebody's life in reverence and adoration and submission to God. And so missions exist because that doesn't exist. That means that not everybody worships Jesus, that not everybody is living a life of worship, and so therefore it is necessary for missions. Now, you've had some encounter with missions. You know, maybe you grew up in church, and so you are a part of a church that focused on it or talked about it. Or maybe your church that you grew up in or went to did not focus on it a lot, but you have seen missionaries every once in a while come to your church or another church or after a concert, and they were asking for prayer and asking, for money to go overseas. Or maybe you didn't grow up in church, but you had a problem sleeping, and so late at night you saw different organizations that did work in other countries, and so that's your interaction with missions. Or maybe you think of missionaries as like weird religious nuts. They're the Jesus freaks. They're the ones that take it a little too far and take Jesus seriously, and leave everything that they have and go to another country. Or maybe you don't really know much about it, or what you think about it is tied in with Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons, and so you kind of lump all missionaries in the same deal, that they kind of go door to door and ride bikes around. And I don't mean that to be offensive. I'm just saying that's maybe what you think of it. And so we all have these different images of what we think of when we think of missions. But the thing about missions is it's not an aspect of Christianity. Remember, missions exist because worship does not. And so the truth about it is that missions has been a part of Christianity since the beginning. Missions has been a part of Christianity since its foundation. In fact, there's a thing in the Bible which we refer to as the Great Commission. And the Great Commission is foundational to our faith, to our practicing of Christianity. Now, the word commission, a commission is an authoritative order or charge or direction. So a commission is an authoritative order, charge, or direction. Just like, if you're military, you have commissioned officers. They've been given, by authority, a charge to be an officer in the Army. And in the Bible, there's a thing, like I said, that is called the Great Commission. This is found in Matthew chapter 28. Now, in Matthew 28, this is the end of the book of Matthew. And so you think about it, and think about the disciples and what they've been through. The disciples have decided to follow Jesus, and they've heard the teaching of Jesus, and they've seen the miracles of Jesus, and they've believed great things. And then he's captured, and he's crucified, and things fall apart. And then the de facto leader, of the disciples, denies being associated with Jesus. And then one of them betrays him, leads to him being killed, and kills himself. And so they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, two women come running to them and to tell Jesus that he's alive. And then Matthew 28, verse 16 is where I want to read. It says, "Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go." So they go to this mountain where Jesus had told them to go. "And when they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted." And real quick, I don't want to get into that too much, but isn't that encouraging to know that these disciples who walked with Jesus and saw Jesus, that they doubted? You might doubt, you might struggle, we might have questions, we might not fully understand everything, and it's so great to know that these guys, they struggled in the same way. And so that's what's so great about reading through the Gospels, reading through the first 4 books of the New Testament, is that it's so encouraging to see these people, and really the whole Bible, to see real people struggling in their faith and walking with Jesus. And so they doubted, and then Jesus came to them in verse 18 and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. All authority has been given to me. I mean, complete control. My friend, his dad owns a construction company, and he went and he got his bachelor's in building construction, and slowly was taking over the business. And then that one day came, and where his dad said, this is yours now. You run the company. And so Jesus, while he was in the flesh, was limited in having authority. But what Jesus is saying right here is he's saying, I'm not the boy in the manger anymore. I'm not the child in the manger. I'm not the trampled rose, speaking metaphorically. I'm God. And all authority has been restored to me. All authority has been given to me. And then he gives the Great Commission. Therefore, go. Therefore, go. Now, just to explain what that word means in the Greek, is go. Go, get out of here. Go means, go, get going. He's saying, therefore, go. Now, that's cool, right? But when you really think about what is going on here, this is a big deal, because think about the moment that they're caught up in. They've been disappointed. They feel like maybe we were wrong, and then here they are. They see Jesus resurrected in the flesh, and he says, go. I mean, and I don't want to diminish the work, the moment that they're caught up in, and the fact that there are these times in our life where we just get caught up in how good he is. But the fact is, sometimes we can get caught up in what's, I've heard called a holy huddle, where we're just kind of gathered around and we're going over the playbook and we're celebrating how good it is to be a part of the team, right? And so really, instead of really, being obedient to God, we're just being happy that we're right. And some of the songs we even sing, that's what they're about, is, Jesus is the enemy has been defeated, Jesus is victorious, we're victorious. And that is so great and so exciting. I definitely think there's a time for that. But man, we can't just sit here and be happy that we're right. And Jesus says go, and when he says go, and when we take on that mindset, when we're obedient to that, it really takes the focus off of us. It takes the focus off of ourselves to go. Because it's natural for us to, kind of be inwardly focused, to be focused on feeling good and not the agenda that Jesus has for us. I've said this, you guys have all heard me say this, that it's not about having our best life right now. It's having our best life later. And if all God wanted from us was us to sing and worship him and be obedient, and just be good little moral creatures, then wouldn't he take us to heaven right away? But instead, Jesus leaves us here. In fact, in John, he said, to the Father, I pray not that you take them out of the world, but that you leave them in it. And that we would not be of the world, but we would be in it. So he wants us to go. And what does he want us to go and do? Make disciples. He wants us to go and make disciples. Now, the word disciples is from the Greek